If men are asked more than women to go in and out of masculine, feminine, to be hardcore, to be soft, right? When women aren't doing those things and they're staying on one side of the emotional spectrum, how can you say that men aren't more emotionally stable?
To the conclusion, because people have told me like, yo, okay, I'm married? Like, yes.
I'll be the one to take the risk to go and get them bands. I'll be the one to never sit and go and make a plan. Knowing my mother getting older now, got no time. Gotta keep a couple for the road, the rest get left behind. Yeah. To the hundreds, pledge allegiance, I stand. I'm going to pull forward in the white sand. I give it all to the might stand. If it's been done before, then I know I can. I'm on the rise, I'm trying to keep a level head. She want my time, she begging me to give it.
Yo, what's the deal, y'all? Hope all is well. Welcome back to another episode. I'm Duke.
I'm Omar.
I'm Jalan, and this is another episode of the #1 podcast in all of Los Angeles. Nice and neat, fellas. We're on the road to 100 officially. We're on the road to 100. This is episode 89, so we got 11 more episodes. Well, this is 89, so we got 10 more episodes following this, so we could get to 100. 100 is a huge milestone in the podcast space.
Yes, it is.
I know I'm excited about it. I know we talked about getting to 100 before.
Man.
So we almost there. But, man, we got a lot to talk about. Hold
on, because we talked about that 100, though, man. I just want to urge our viewers and listeners, really our viewers. I just want to, let me just throw out some numbers because, numbers don't lie, but we're about 4,000 subscribers away from 50. So 50K. So I think it would be dope for us to hit 100 episodes and reach the 50K subscriber amount. I think that would be fire, and I think we could I know the only way we could do that is with the help of you guys. So, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button now, share it with a friend, tell them to subscribe as well, and continue to help us grow.
What did we get a plaque? 100?
We get a plaque for 100.
For 100.
A plaque for 100.
Do you have 100 on your personal?
I don't have 100 nowhere.
Okay.
That'd be kind of cool. I wonder if they going to give us 3 plaques.
Well, we just
One
get them
for
3
sure.
made. We'll just get 3 made. So, yeah.
We got to get one made for production as well.
We get everybody here getting
one.
one.
Yeah, everybody get a plaque.
Yeah.
Look, fella, we got a lot to catch up on. We've been out of the podcast sphere for roughly a month. A little bit more.
Something like that.
A little more.
A little bit more.
Try to make it sound better.
Who's counting?
Yeah, we've been, but we had a lot of life happening.
Yeah.
We had a lot of life happening. We had a lot going on. I think we all had a lot going on, but I do want to kick it off with, you just got married.
I did, bro.
You're very, very, you and Candace, congratulations to you guys.
Thank you, bro.
You guys have a very public relationship as well. So I feel like you guys sprung it on people when you guys got married.
Mm-hmm.
What was the decision behind that? Because you guys eloped.
Essentially.
Okay.
Essentially. I mean, I guess when you break down an elopement, it's typically just the 2 people who are getting married. So that's why I say essentially, because we had our parents, our siblings involved. But just the thought process behind that was, when you get, and Duke will start to understand, when you get into the wedding planning phase, it gets really, really, really complicated. Full transparency, it gets expensive. And there's a lot of, you find yourself like starting to think about other people's emotions, how other people are going to feel.
Like your immediate family?
All of it, bro, it's who we're going to invite, who we're not going to invite. You know what I mean? How do we get this invite to them without this person feeling bad, without this family member feeling a certain way? All of those things, all of those variables, I think, played a factor in this equation. But also too, just like, wanting to get started with our family. We've been together for 6 years, you know what I mean? And, the idea is to still have like this big grand celebration or quote unquote reception. But for us, man, we didn't want to wait anymore. You know what I mean? The idea of planning a wedding where we were at in our relationship wouldn't come for another year at least. Our anniversary was coming up, man, and we just said we wanted to do it, so we did it very, very small and what's the word I'm looking for? Intimate. You know, we rented a yacht in the marina, and we sailed out. We had her parents, my parents, again, my siblings, you know. But I will say it here. I'll kind of save all the details for another day. But like, it was low key the best, worst day of my life. I'm not even playing. We haven't done any shameless plugs here in a while. But like, if you want that story, head over to the Komar Show YouTube channel to catch the full thing in its entirety. But you know, to make a long story short, my dad went to the hospital, wasn't able to make it to my wedding.
Right. It sounded like he wasn't.
Hey,
nah, he made it.
He made it.
Yeah, he made it. Not to the wedding.
Just not to the wedding.
He just didn't make it to the wedding. You know what I mean? Which was, you know, that was really, that emotion in itself was something crazy, because I experienced this on the wedding day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My dog Duke always comes through in the clutch for me, especially with the cars for engagements, weddings. But Duke went to pick up a car for me that I rented, and I mean, it looked sweet, but it had all kind of different things going on with it. You know, no AC in the middle of the summer, no radio, things of that nature. Yeah, and on top of that, on the boat made everybody sick. I'm thinking I'm renting a boat. It's gonna be fly. It's gonna be proper.
This was when California had a hurricane.
Oh, I forgot about that. California decided to have a hurricane the same day. So yeah, it was crazy. So that was a wild story.
It was the same day?
It was the same day, bro.
Oh, wow.
It was the same day, bro. It was the same
crazy.
day. So yeah, that experience was crazy. But man, in a nutshell though, you know what I mean, we are extremely happy to be married and to finally be a unit. I want to touch on something because I've been thinking about this over the past month. I've been married over a month now. And we had Simeon Panda on, and he asked us, all of us, like, what do you think will change when you guys get married?
You said nothing.
And I said nothing. I said nothing. And already within a month, I could say that is not true. You know what I mean? Even though physically nothing has really changed. We still live in the same place. We sleep in the same bed. You know what I mean? But in terms of, even though it's not like I have access to her account, her bank account, she has access to my account, it's really our money now. You know what I mean? In terms of like you said this, I think it was you that said this about being protective. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, no, that's my wife. So like, I need some space, bro. Like, I found myself in Bali. It's Bali. It's a peaceful place. So I found myself like checking myself in the moment, but like almost getting ready to press a dude because he was too close to my wife. You know what I mean? Like, yo, bro, you and I never had that feeling, you know what I mean, as a single man, quote unquote single man. You know, so and I'm pretty sure there will be more and more things that will continue to unfold, you know, as we continue to dive deeper into our marriage, that I feel like will change, that I didn't think would change.
It's like a deeper level of protection.
Deeper,
it's like
bro.
another layer.
It's deeper. It's deeper. And I think you said that. You were talking about, like, I'm really responsible for this person. You know what I mean? Like, we were on the boat, and Candace is, it's a crazy story. Candace is throwing up on her wedding day off the boat, right? And her dad is like, yo, Omar, your wife is throwing up. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, you really responsible for that now. You know what I mean?
Not me.
No. Hey, your wife is
I'm relieved
up.
from my duties because that's on you now.
Go get her. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but...
Go get her.
Go get her.
That's a fact.
Go get her, bro. But so yeah, the elopement was great for us, even though it was a crazy day. You know, we're happy to be one. You know, I'm happy to be proudly wearing my wedding ring. You know what I mean? Nice little 14 karat gold.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, let me ask you this though. So you said that the idea is that you want to have a big grandiose celebration or reception.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you that feels like that's not going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, do you ever feel like life is just going to happen and then you guys are going to get to a point where you're going to sound like, yo, we love where we're at. It's not necessary?
I don't think so. I think what could slow it down and, you know, derail it a little bit is like us starting a family, having children. But I still think that, like, especially after our experience
Yeah.
on our wedding day.
Yeah.
Candace still wants to walk down the aisle.
for sure.
She still wants that experience, you know what I mean? And, you know, I want her to have that as well.
How much you think that wedding's gonna cost?
Well, I think that's just gonna be a celebration. So,
Okay.
So I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. I would say.
Yeah, how much you think that celebration gonna cost?
I would say if you could do it out the country, if you could do it in the country, do it in the state of California, I would say like 30,000.
Yeah.
You know, you do it outside the country, maybe like 15. You know, that's what you up against.
And then was that something like the elopement? Was that more her, more you, or just kind of a joint decision that you guys just made full out?
Well, it was a joint decision. I'll tell you, transparent. I'll be transparent, and honest. Like we don't own a home.
Okay.
So like if I'm telling you what a party would cost,
I got you.
you could just double, triple that for
A home.
for the actual wedding.
I got you. Yeah,
Because you got the wedding plus the
Yes.
celebration.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? And honestly, you know, when you think about doing life together and taking the next step, it's like, yo, you got to be able to justify everything that you're doing. You know what I mean? And we really couldn't justify making that decision. You know what I mean? Based off of currently where we're at. You know what I mean? Like those, and it maybe even if it's not.
There's no wrong or right. It's just
Nah,
I get
there's
what
no
you're
wrong
saying.
with it. That's just how we felt about
Yeah,
it.
for
You know
sure.
what I mean? And yeah, but I'm willing to bet we will have that celebration. You know, I don't think it'd be one of those things that we kind of just like, oh, we're good where we're at.
Yeah, I think you guys would. I think a lot of people like would appreciate that.
Yeah, and also like selfishly, like we want that love.
You want that, yeah,
We
yeah,
want
yeah.
that love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's coming.
I feel like people don't really want to say that. Like, hey, yo, we want people to see us married.
No, 1,000%.
We want to have the you know, we want to be vain about our love.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that.
We talking. That's a human progression.
It's a human
of,
feeling.
This is now where we're at, and this
Yeah.
is the public way.
Yeah.
For us to see where we're at. I heard you say, oh, like you've noticed things have changed for you. You as a husband now, looking at your wife, what do you feel like has changed for her since you guys is married? You know, you feel like you see a sense of change in her, more security. Like what changed?
I can't speak to like the security. Her being secure.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about you anymore.
Yeah.
No, just
but
her.
What I would say is though she's she's always been attentive to me, but man, she will tell you too in terms of like, you know, it being our money, you know, she is making every decision thinking about us. Every decision is like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Or like that doesn't make sense for us. Or no, I think this is a good opportunity for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And before, she would say that, but it's overemphasized right now in the house. You know, and I really appreciate that. It makes you feel good. You know what I mean?
It almost seems like before you get married, because you know, women have interesting spending habits.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
And it seems like before you get married, you'll notice, hey, yo, you really don't need that. But you can't, and you can justify it because you're not married. There's always that, all right, you do what you want. It always kind of falls back to, all right, you do what you want, right?
Yeah.
You deserve it. You know, that's you. But it just seems like when you get married, all of the fluff, all of the disconnect just goes out the window, and you just kind of fully step into that. Hey, yo, nah, that's a bad decision, and we need to talk about that, and that's not good for us.
Yep.
And then on her side, it's more like, you know, what could have been, nah, like, I need this. This is what I need for me. Is now kind of like, okay, well, what if this happens, or what if we compromise here, or you know, it's actually a conversation now. It seems like,
Yeah.
You know, and
It is.
I feel like that's the beauty of marriage.
It is.
You know.
I do want to say one more last thing. I know you say you don't want to hear anything else from me, Jamal, but I will say, because I was proud of myself. You know, we had just because you get married don't mean the argument stopped, right? So we had an argument the other day, and I've never felt like this. Like we've had arguments before. I've raised my voice, and I've even yelled before, and I raised my voice, and I stepped away, and I immediately was like, yo, I don't want to raise my voice at my wife. About 5 minutes, I let it like marinate, and I was like, I gotta go apologize. You know, and I went and apologized. Literally I was like, yeah, I'm sorry for raising my voice. It wasn't my intention. You know, I was just trying to and I was really proud of myself in that moment for being able to understand that, one, be present, understand what I was did, or how I was reacting, and then two, to take ownership of it immediately in the moment. You know, and I've been doing a lot of self work, so you know, obviously.
I was gonna ask you about that. You guys had a beautiful honeymoon in Bali.
Yeah.
Which is probably, arguably, I think the public will say it's probably one of the most spiritually driven places in the world. Do you guys feel more connected spiritually, intimately after taking that honeymoon trip? Like, do you feel like outside of the wedding, that was a great honeymoon?
No, it was perfect for us. Lately, anytime that we travel, you know, one thing that we've been doing is turning on airplane mode on the phone. So you only get to use your phone when you're at the hotel on Wi-Fi, right? So we started doing that 2 trips ago. Okay, so you do that plus a place that's just like pure nature, you know, one of the greenest places I've ever been in my life. And then you add on top of it that you are on your honeymoon, the connection is so deep. We had so many intimate moments, and every place that we went to, I think 2 other places had TVs. But even on vacation, who watches TV on vacation? You know, you don't be in the room watching TV, but we spent so much time literally talking. Like one song that I forget what the artist's name, but like that Hours song is like on repeat in my head when I think about our trip. Like literally, I could sit and talk to my wife for hours on hours and never get bored, and like the conversation never gets stagnant. You know what I mean? And you're not like, I'm tired of talking to this person. You know. So I feel like that was a great place for us, and a great place for any couple that's freshly getting married and stepping into their honeymoon. I think that's an awesome place to visit.
Hey, fuck it, let's make it about O. Hey, yo, so I've known you, bro, since 2012, right? We came into the league together, right? And we met as athletes, as football players, right? And when you think about your history as an athlete, you just think about how brutal football is and what type of mind frame you gotta have to do it since you were a kid to make the NFL, right? That's like a gladiator mindset, you know what I mean? Physically, mentally, right? And then not only that, your identity is to walk around as that, all right? So for someone who, for lack of better words, has been so macho, right? Where did you learn to allow the soft side of you to kind of flourish so your relationship could flourish, right? Because there are a lot of men that watch this podcast, right? And maybe a lot of them are thinking like, man, I wish I had the confidence to feel or speak or act around my girl or my woman or my wife the way this guy does, right? And they may be struggling with that same type of complex where they don't want to let go of that macho, you know, approach. How do you get to that?
Well, I wouldn't say like what made me. I would say what helped me, and what helped me is my woman. I think Candace, my wife. I think Candace did an awesome job of making me feel comfortable being as open and as free and as creative as I possibly could be. Through that brought out a side, a vulnerable side, a loving side of me that we hadn't seen before. You know what I mean? But I think, and that's also too because I think I decided that I wanted to love this woman. You know, when you get a feeling about a woman, you're like, I think I may love her. I think I may really like this person.
Yeah.
But then you also make a decision like, yo, I want to love this person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think once I decided to make that decision, it became a lot more easier for me to let my guard down and really be in love with my woman, you know? And I think that's what we all want to be. It's just hard to, initially, because you want to be this macho person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Candace definitely helped me in that regard. And it could be as simple as literally encouraging me to smile more.
I got you.
It's okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Baby, do the little dance. You know what I mean? And it'd be like little things like that I wasn't doing before, but
Right.
It's kind of fun with you.
It's kind of fun. Okay.
It's fun with you. And I think so, like, once you decide that you want to have fun and you want to love this person, I think it's a lot easier to let that guard down. But you got to make that decision. You know what I mean? Once you feel the feeling, after you feel the feeling.
Now, prior to her, all right, prior to you where you guys getting to where you guys are now, did you ever feel like you just were afraid of compromising your masculinity as an athlete, right? As someone who the world looks like in this way? Did you ever feel like that? So you had, even if you wanted to do these things, you didn't because you was afraid.
1,000%. 1,000%. It's
And you're a confident guy. So.
For sure. But especially like something as so silly as fun as dancing, bro.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing that. You know what I mean? But with her, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's actually so fun that I don't care what anybody else thinks.
That's where you got to get to. Yeah.
That's what you have to get to. It's actually so fun with her. No one else matters to me.
Yeah.
Before you start, you see like everyone around you. It's like being someone young and performing in front of a lot of people, right? At first, when you first get out there, you see everybody. You notice all the movement. But through time and through experience, you start to, everything becomes blurred. And the only thing that's visible is what's literally right in front of you. And I think that's what happened within the relationship is once I decided that, hey, I'm all in with this, you know, everything on the outside began to get blurry.
Yeah.
And everything on the inside began to get real clear.
Yeah.
And once it's clear, it's like, yeah, this is where I want to be. Now you can really have fun. And then you can really truly be your authentic self. Yeah. Because you're not just a serious person 24/7.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have fun. You're a loving person. You're kind. Yeah. You're all of these things, you know what I mean? In this ball that creates Duke. You know what I mean? But until you meet a woman or until you meet a counterpart that could bring it out of you, we'll never know who that person truly is.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
Islam, when you just kind of staying, that's funny. Just kind of staying, you know, in line with what I was talking about. When did you, at what point did you figure, or what point did you define your own like way of masculinity? You understand what I'm saying? Because you're growing up, and we all, especially as black men, right? We all have this universal, unwritten rule of how to behave, right? When it comes to women, when it comes to sports, when it comes to how we look, how we talk, our slang, the music we listen to. At what point in your life did you get to a point where you started thinking, well, I kind of like this, and I don't, and then this kind of still makes me feel like a man.
You know, this is I always, being the youngest brother, I have 2 older brothers, and then being the youngest of 3, I have an older sister as well. I always like just paid attention a lot, you know, so I will pay attention to their friends. I would pay attention to other men that I admired. And it was this older black man who used to go to my church. Well, the church that I grew up in. He was there. He was he didn't talk much. When he talked, it wasn't super heavy. It was soft. But he was still considered like an authoritative figure. And man, it's crazy because he would cross his legs. But like not like have the foot on top, but like his one thigh will be over the other.
Yep.
But everybody respected this dude, and I looked and I was like, that was a big shift in what masculinity was for me as a kid, because I was always looked at as feminine.
That's how women sit.
That's how women sit, right? Yeah. But I knew how masculine this guy was. Like I knew the way people respected him. I knew the way people revered this guy, and I was just like, man, this dude doesn't talk loud. He's not excessively overbearing with people, and he crosses his legs and people still respect him and revere him. So from there, I was like, I can define masculinity the way I want to define masculinity. As long as I can establish respect within people, I can define masculinity how I want to define it. Yeah. So from there, like, I remember I was like, man, I'm gonna cross my legs and see what it look like, see what it feels like. And I would just do it, and nobody would ever say anything. And I was like, oh, it's kind of how people look at you. So that was probably in my late teen years, 19, 20, 21, somewhere like in there. I was working in the shop when I was 21. So I was seeing all kind of different men come through. I also had very intimate conversations with men, so I got to see where their holes was at. So some men who people felt like were the most masculine.
I just want to reiterate the holes.
The holes. Right?
Hey, he said the holes were at.
Hey, I'm just gonna be clear here.
Hey. So some men who people felt like were the most masculine were struggling in ways that people didn't know. So it made me fully understand, like, masculine isn't just a look. Like, it's not just a look. It's not how you want to be perceived. It's literally just like who you are, how you carry yourself on a day in and day out, and how people respect you. I feel like there's a lot of respect that's within certain aspects of masculinity that we truly can't even define. I think the easiest way to define it is off of, oh, you know, you're supposed to look like this, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to make it. Nah, it wasn't like that for me. So early on in my 20s, like, I didn't have like the struggle I feel like a lot of men have, to where it's like, I have to look like this in order to get this attention. It was just like, nah, I'm gonna carry myself how I believe how I believe I should carry myself. And that's gonna be masculine to me. Like, I knew I was a man. There was no confusion like with that. I feel like when we try to live up to the societal standards is when we really kind of get confused. When you say, oh, I'm supposed to look this way, and somebody looks at you and be like, oh man, that was feminine. It's like deflating a balloon, because you're like, yo, I built myself up. I built this character up to be who is supposed to be appreciated and respected and revered as a masculine man. And now I'm not, because you told me I wasn't. I never let somebody's word give me, like, have that much power over me. So that man, when I was young and watching him in the pulpit, and I was like, oh, okay, this guy's masculine, and he crosses his legs. I respect it. Like, so, I respect it.
So, for either of you guys, right, is there any man or group of men that get to decide to determine what's masculine for another man or a group of men, right? Does any man have that right? And if no one has that right, then how do we determine what masculine is? Because I feel like we all, to some degree, subscribe to some idea of masculinity. You understand what I'm saying? So although I understand the no man could tell me what masculinity is, I still subscribe to, hey, to me, there's a way men should be.
So I feel like...
You get what I'm saying?
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. I feel like the easiest way to define masculinity before was to, like the cop-out way is like, man, he looks this way, right? Or he's strong, or he imposes his will here. Integrity, honor, there's no fluidity in your word. Like, that's really masculine to me, because to be like, yo, no matter how I feel, I'm gonna carry this out because I said that I was, whether it was
accountable. That's a masculine trait.
That's a masculine trait to me.
I got you. So someone does still have the right, and you can actually still understand if I question you for doing something that's not in line with traditional masculinity, right?
Yeah.
If I'm just questioning you.
Yeah, but I think if regardless of what a person does, I think regardless of what a man does, if a man is, and this is crazy because it's relative, but if he is, I get quote unquote strong, if he does provide, if he is a man of his word, man of integrity, if he can protect, he's masculine.
Correct.
He's masculine, period.
Correct.
Anything else that he does, like, don't matter. That's a masculine man who just does other things.
Right. And Jalon has all those qualities, but he has fingernail polish.
He masculine with fingernail polish.
Now he's masculine with fingernail polish.
Yeah.
But am I wrong for seeing fingernail polish and assuming, okay, he's not masculine?
I think you're wrong if you
if I have no foundation of...
So I think you're wrong if you spread your opinion about him as fact.
Right. I got you.
I think you're wrong there.
I got you.
That's
But I'm not wrong.
You can have your opinion.
That's good.
But I'm not wrong for formulating our own.
Because of what you see.
Because when I see...
Because of what you see, you're not wrong.
Right. Because like if I see 1,000 men walking around without nail polish and I see 2 men walking around nail polish, I'm assume that's not what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that.
Yeah.
I'm assume that that's not masculine.
Right.
Yeah.
Because technically the definition of masculinity is characteristics or traits that's associated usually with males.
Yes.
Right? So anything that's outside of that is the opposite of masculinity. Right? Whether we want to agree with that or not. You know what I mean? So I just think that's interesting.
Do you associate emotional maturity and emotional stability with males when you think about it? If you had to associate a sex with it,
Emotional stability and emotional.
maturity.
Yes.
You associate that with masculinity?
Yes.
Damn, that's crazy.
I do.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I do.
I would associate it with femininity.
I said emotional maturity, or you said stability?
Yeah.
Emotional stability and emotional maturity.
And maturity.
You would associate that with masculinity.
Yeah. I feel like men are.
I would say most masculine men don't have those things.
Yeah.
A trait of masculinity is to be composed in your emotion. Being erratic in your emotion is actually considered feminine,
I hear you.
right? So if somebody said, hey, if somebody created this person and said, hey, yo, this person is strong-minded, this person is emotionally mature, this person is emotionally stable, I would assume it's a man. I would assume it's a man. And that's not saying that women can't be those things, but I think women tend to be more emotionally erratic.
Okay.
Right? And we know these things because people keep saying, yo, women are emotional, right? Men are logical. Now we know men get angry. We know that. We know men have temper problems. We know that.
There's millions locked up in prison because of it.
Right. But I feel like men are able to regulate their emotions more than
What would you say though about those men? I'm thinking about the
Right.
men that are incarcerated.
So-
These are all masculine men who go to prison
Correct.
for
not being able to
we're-
control
for not being able to control their
yeah,
emotions.
we're just more dangerous. The outlet is just different.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's it. We're just more dangerous, more violent. The outlet is different. So I can get mad and I could smash my woman's car in for just whatever. Right? And it's gonna play off a lot different if she got mad and smashed my car in. Right? And the reason it's gonna play out a lot different is because I'm not expected to be emotionally erratic like that. Right? And it's not a comparison thing. I'm just answering the question.
Yep.
And if I had to choose, I would choose men as someone who is more emotionally stable and mature.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I understand they say women mature faster than men. Right? I get that. Right? And I think that's just like I understand that, but just from experience, I think growing up, our idea of maturing is different, right? It's like physical, like women are, developing breasts early, right? Going through all these bodily changes earlier, right? So a lot of those things play a part in it. But as far as, if I take an adult and I say, yo, like who's more emotionally mature, I'm gonna choose men, right? But I understand if some people don't.
So I feel like when we look at an extreme, I can understand how you could come to that in saying a man or men in general will be more emotionally mature. However, I feel like we know how to suppress our emotions, which can externally come off as maturity, and in a way of, yo, like, how do you really feel right now? Like, what age did you get to where you were like, yo, I really feel like this right now, and you were able to identify your feelings and know that you felt this way. When I'm speaking on emotional maturity, I mean in being able to truly identify your feelings and being able to label them and then being able to express to somebody how I feel, and then also express it articulate enough to where they can now treat you the way you want to be treated. And I don't feel like we have that as most men. This show, I've learned, helps me have that. I was just talking to O the other day, and I was just like, yo, like in this space of fatherhood, I wish more men would have spoke to me in a certain way. And then I had to check myself. I said, you know what? I'm saying that from a person who was 89 episodes in on talking about his feelings. So like in that, I feel like in being mad, oh man, I could suppress how I feel, but like I don't even really know what I'm suppressing. I just know that I don't want to be violent.
I got you.
I don't know what I'm suppressing. I don't know what triggered me to even feel that way, but I don't want to be violent. I'm going to suppress it. I'm not going to say anything. And then tomorrow comes and you be like, okay, I feel cool. So you never identified that feeling. You never dove into it. I feel like women from a young age, because of the way they're nurtured, typically have the ability to identify a feeling way earlier than we do. And throughout the course of their life. Now, how they carry out the feeling they've been able to identify, I can't tell you how they're going to do that, but being able to be emotional, be mature in your emotions. And when I say mature in your emotions, I mean, hey, I felt this way. And when you do that, it makes me feel this way. And I don't like that. And I feel like that's when we get to the point of, women be like, I want an emotionally mature man. Like, I want an emotionally mature man. And I've had moments within my relationship to where it's just like, whoa, that emotional maturity was a whole nother level for me that I wasn't ready to be accountable for, because an emotionally mature man requires an accountable woman. That's what I've learned 100%. And I know when you are emotionally mature as a man, you're going to grow your partner as well in that space, because she might not have ever dealt with a man that's going to be like, hey, when you do these things, it makes me feel like this, which makes me withdraw in our relationship. And I don't want to do that. How many men have ever...
Men aren't saying that.
Nah. You said it before?
I have.
Exactly. Have you said that before? Exactly. And I feel like that's what it's like. It's normal to us in the conversations that we have. And also I understand how much I've even grown in that space. I don't think that space is readily available for most men.
Yeah, but let's push back though. Like, okay, so one, how are we defining stability, emotional stability? Okay, and then also, just because a woman is going to learn how to express themselves doesn't mean she's emotionally more mature, right? Because now, how does she react when I express myself?
Not necessarily express, identify.
Okay, right. But so whether she identifies and express or identify and don't express, we still identify those issues. Because I can't tell you that you haven't identified nothing, knowing that you're a man. You probably have identified it. I just know that the circumstance of how the world is, you're gonna keep that to yourself, right? Now, when we talk about emotional stability, right? When I think emotional stability, right, I think that, this person can withstand different extremes of emotion and still function.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yes.
That's what I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? And I feel like when I think about that characteristic, I equate that usually with men. Now, again, there are women that could do it, and there's probably loads of them, right? But I just think that more men can, And I do understand your point about emotional maturity, but I also think a component of emotional maturity is being able to hear someone else's opinion and hear someone else's emotions and not dismiss it, right? And not allow what they're telling me to get me irate and get me worked up and get me out of having this out of body experience. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So those are part of it. That's part of it. So I can't necessarily just agree with you there. Yeah, dog. Yeah.
So I'm gonna push back.
Come on.
I'm gonna push back. I feel like I've never said this before, but I heard it for the first time right now to where it makes me say this. I feel like that's a very patriarchal outlook.
Which one?
In the sense of being able to deal with a whole bunch of stuff and be able to still function, because function is very, very subjective in the sense of, I'm functioning, but I'm silent. I'm functioning, but I didn't react to the emotion. I'm functioning, but I didn't address the emotion. Because in that, I say that because a woman could be like, hey, this made me feel this way. And it's like, you just being emotional. And in that, it's like, we want her to shut down because we want her to do what we do. You get what I'm saying? In a sense of, hey, because I could deal with that, I want you to just deal with that too. I don't want to have a conversation about how you feeling in this space. I don't want to even open up the space for it. So if a man can, because you made me think about like how many times dudes get mad and just grit their teeth and then just do what they're supposed to do. And we'd be like, that's emotional stability. Is it? Like, is it?
We'll define it.
So
You know what I mean? Like
I feel
define
like
it first.
I feel like that's a great surface definition of emotional stability. I think it's a great surface definition, right? But in being stable in your emotions, I feel like if it's an earthquake happening and you be like, yeah, I'm right in the earthquake, but like the damage is done. Are you fixing the damage after it's done? So I feel like in emotional stability, it's like, yeah, you ride it, but then you have to identify it, and then you have to talk through it, and then you have to be like, when it happens again, this is how I want to deal with it, and this is how I want to encounter it. And I feel like a lot of times women offer the space, but because we don't want to go in that space, it's like, yo, you being emotional. I've done it before.
Yep.
They offer the space, and it's like, hey, this makes me feel this way. It's like, you shouldn't feel that way about that. That's not that big of a deal. I've done that before. And I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking as we talking, and this is the first time I've ever like felt this way about something. Like as we talking, it's just like, I think when you're saying stability, it's a great surface definition, but in being stable, are we doing the work to where we don't just have to shut our emotions down in order to participate in life? Granted, take ourselves out of it. Just think about the dudes where you be like, he just grits his teeth and he just goes and does what he needs to do. Grits his teeth, goes and does what he needs to do. And then like we talking about, ends up in jail. And then we like, oh, we just more violent. It's like, nah.
Yeah, but I think what the conversation is tough because we're using extremes, right? We're talking about guys in jail. That's an extreme circumstance. You know what I'm saying? And even when I'm talking about breaking windows, that's an extreme circumstance, right? Most women ain't just walking around here breaking windows, right? Most guys ain't just killing people and beating people up and getting sent to jail, right? Yep. So we gotta have some kind of decorum where we just say, hey, yo, like, let's just take the average man and the average woman, not like criminals, not just like emotionally, just, you know, traumatized women. Nah, we're not doing that, right? And we take all those things and we take the things you said. You said emotional maturity, you said emotional stability, all right? If we can't define those things, then we can't come down to any type of understanding if we can't define them.
I know what you said. I know you said that what Duke said was really surface level, but when you break down emotion, it's really energy and motion, right? So it has to be you being able to find that balance within that motion. And I know you're saying that surface level. That's basically what he's saying. You know you're saying that surface level, but like, how else do you define it? If you can't, if you're saying you a person to be emotionally stable, right? That person has to be able to find balance within the motion of their energy. So like, I don't know like how much more we could define it. How much deeper can we go into being able to be, say, you're stable within your emotions?
Emotion, you said energy and motion.
Yeah.
And if I don't know if that's the definition of emotion. So I'm gonna say if it is, that's a definition that I disagree with. Cause I be dumb emotional, bro, sitting still.
Your the energy is moving throughout your body. That's where the motion. That's what the motion is coming from.
So that's
what I'm saying. If you could find stability in that, then how could you not be emotionally stable?
So, okay, so I think it's interesting to really address like shutting things off, because I know one thing that I can do really well to be able to participate in life is disconnect. But disconnecting isn't always the most healthy thing to do.
But it's not always unhealthy.
No, it's not always unhealthy, right? But when your partner is getting you upset and you like, hey, yo, I got stuff that I got to do, and I disconnect and I shut that off.
Right.
That's because I don't want to engage. I don't want to participate. I don't want to take your feelings on or your emotions on as my own. I don't want to participate. So I'll shut it off and I'll just go do what I'm supposed to do. I don't think that's mature. As I'm learning and just maneuvering, I don't think it's mature. Now, if you can shut off for a time while you're at work and you're like, hey, I'm going to come back to this conversation, right? This is something that most men are not doing. Hey, we're going to come back to this conversation, okay? I go to work. I work all day. I make sure you're good during the day. I'm not just keeping silent. And then I come home and I'll be like, hey, let's pick up on that conversation.
Yeah.
That's different.
Correct. Yep. Now.
That's different.
Okay. Correct.
Right? Now, I think that men have the ability to, yo, we in this conversation, hey, yo, I'm cool with that, and go to work and function and get their job done, and then come home and be like, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I think that men have that ability. Yeah. Now, when I look at stable, right? Because I understand what you're saying when you look at when you say stable. When I look at stable, I think for the person that's not involved with the direct emotion of the person, it looks very stable. But like, are they emotionally stable with the person, right? And I think what you're saying is very correct, because if you're just a singular entity and it's just like, oh man, every time he comes in, like he seems very solid and things like that, I think that's and part of the reason why I say surface is because we only know if somebody's truly emotionally stable through their inner workings. That's the only way we truly know. So optically, that's why I say surface, because optically, the only way we know somebody's emotionally stable is if they grit their teeth, put their head down, and participate what they usually do in life. So like, I would know if Duke is mad at me, but nobody else might not know.
Yep.
And it's like, it's not healthy right now. Like, it's not healthy right now, but nobody else knows. I know, but somebody be like, nah, he's super emotionally stable. It's like, yeah, but I've been trying to have a conversation with him for the last 3 months, and he's just ignoring me. And he's not participating in the conversation. That's why I'm saying.
I see your point, though. No, I definitely see your point. When I think about men, I think men are very in tune with how they feel. They don't feel comfortable enough to express themselves because of how the world's set up. That's no one's fault, right? I don't think it absolves them, but I think it is a reality. I think men know exactly how they feel. I just don't think men know how to communicate. And I think men choose not to communicate because we've been taught or we've learned or experienced that if we communicate how we feel, it usually doesn't lead to anything productive. That's what I think men are struggling with. I don't think it's a matter of, and I know like, and if we was having another conversation, I would say, well, that's not being a leader, right? Because you should never wait on somebody else
to your point of this started from feminine and masculine. I feel like we're taught if we communicate how we feel, it's feminine.
If we communicate
how we feel, it's feminine.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, nobody hearing you with all that. What you talking about? We grew up in that space. Like that is a space that we understand all too well. And in understanding that, like you said, we know how we feel. I think we know how something makes us react, but I don't think we know why we feel like that. Because of the years of suppression. Because it's not appropriate to go ahead and express how you feel. Can you imagine if let's go to 15. We're 15, you in the height of chasing chicks and kicking with your homies, and we having conversations like this. It's like, man, bruh kind of feminine, dog. Like, he always talking about how he feel and how something makes him feel.
But you wouldn't say that if we were all having those conversations.
No,
you would never say that.
We would, but how many homies did you have that you know for sure was suppressing just how they were feeling, what they was going through? How many homies did you truly know what was happening at their house when you was a kid?
Yeah, not many.
You didn't, because it's like, bro, you just put your head down, you just deal with life. You deal with how life come at you. We're taught that. So what I'm saying is, when we talking about emotional stability in a sense of being able to identify how you feeling, I don't think we come equipped with that naturally. That's a muscle that we work.
So emotional stability is being able to identify how you feeling.
And working through
So
it.
is emotional maturity in this case and emotional stability conflated, or are they two separate things?
I think emotional maturity comes from being emotionally stable.
Okay.
I would also say the maturity comes with experience.
I'll accept that.
With experience.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that.
You can't be emotionally mature without having the experience of having to like manage your emotions.
But I want to say this. I don't take away what you're saying, because there is a place for shutting the fuck up and just dealing with what came. But it's still your job to go and identify why this made me feel this way, and then being able to understand exactly what it is. I feel like most of us do the first part, shutting up, gritting your teeth, dealing with it, but you never go back and identify.
Don't unpack it. Yeah.
Never go back and identify, ever. I don't know why we don't. Well, I do know why we don't.
Compartmentalized. It's gone.
You know, but I think that trait is, like O said, I would associate with femininity.
Not the trait of being afraid to say something. Which trait we talking about?
You talking about the being emotionally stable?
Yes.
Is associated with femininity.
With femininity.
Yeah.
Right. But I also feel like men have it tough because, like, when we were speaking with Spicy, we had Spicy on. Men are demanded to maneuver in and out of their feminine and masculine more than women are demanded to move in and out of their masculine and feminine. So part of the reason why I say it would be more of a feminine trait is because you don't wake up and you just be like, okay, I'm going to identify my feelings. No, you're a provider, you're a protector. These are all masculine things. Mm-hmm. I'm a man of my word. I pull up, I do these things. Like, they're all masculine, rigid things. Like, your emotions, it's so much fluidity in your emotions. That's more of a feminine trait.
Mm-hmm. All right, so hold on. So check this out. Emotional fluidity, emotional stability. Those are two different ends of the spectrum. You just said emotional fluidity is a feminine trait. So if emotional fluidity is a feminine trait, emotional stability has to be a masculine trait based on what you just gave to me.
So when I say emotional fluidity, I'm talking about your emotions
going in and out of emotions.
Gotta
be.
Going in and out of emotions, right? And that's not by choice.
No. When I say going in and out of emotions, I don't mean going in and out of, like, how I feel and this and that. I mean going in and out of protector, provider. Okay, I have to now be here for your emotions. That's a feminine trait. Mm-hmm. Like, provide, pay the bills, do this. But I need to talk to you about what upset you. And I walked in the door and I didn't speak. So I need to address that and how you feel.
That's what you mean by fluidity.
That's what I mean about fluidity. I don't mean just going in and out of your emotions. I mean, and
okay, cool. So let's scratch fluidity. How about balance?
It's the same thing with stability.
It's the same thing. So, like, to me, it sounds like everything's getting to, like, stability. Balance.
It's emotional stability.
Right? And if men are asked more than women to go in and out of masculine, feminine, to be hardcore, to be soft, right? When women aren't doing those things and they're staying on one side of the emotional spectrum, how can you say that men aren't more emotionally stable?
I kind of look at it like this, like, it's like a discipline, right? Mm-hmm. If a woman is a professional in a discipline, so let's call it, let's say boxing. Mm-hmm. A woman is a professional in boxing, right? And you do boxing and MMA, but, like, you do them both. You do both disciplines, but neither one of them you're a champion in. She's a champion in boxing, but you do boxing and MMA, and you be like, because I do both, I'm better than you. And it's like, yeah, but I live here. I live in understanding my emotions. I live in understanding how I feel. Granted, you're going to have things where you go back and forth to where she's going to be like, oh, you got me on that one. It's going to happen. But as far as identifying your emotions and being in that space and living in that space, that's where she lives. That's where women live. They live in the space of emotion. The fact that we could just shut them off and they don't exist at times tells me we don't live there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a fact.
And I agree with that.
That's a fact.
We don't.
I absolutely 100% agree with that, right? But again, living in emotion does not make you more emotionally stable. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, sometimes it be too much emotion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, like, you can live in emotion all you want and it be just overbearing. All right? Doesn't mean you're emotionally stable, even though that's where you live. And I'm saying I agree with that 100%, right? But I just think that when it comes to and maybe this dialogue is just going on because we just haven't pinpointed.
It's great. Yep.
No, it's a great dialogue. We weren't supposed to go here. But maybe we just haven't pinpointed exactly what emotional stability is, right? Either we got to throw away emotional maturity or throw away emotional stability and not try to talk about both of them. But maybe we haven't pinpointed what that is, and maybe that's why there's even dialogue. But I feel like if we just are saying, if we're able to just, first of all, just agree on, what exactly is it? And then move from there, then I honestly think me and you will be on common ground. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But that was a great conversation. It wasn't supposed to go there, but
Yeah, it wasn't
maybe
it.
maybe you have a part 2. I don't know. Maybe you have a part 2.
It was. I mean, it was. I feel like it's so much validity in the conversation in general. There was so many pieces of what you were saying that I know that I would associate with stability. I feel like exterior is just like we talked about in conversation when you're talking to your partner and you guys are in a potential heated conversation or an argument. Take a seat.
Yeah.
Right? Take a seat. Don't flail your arms around. Don't do all of those things. Now, your emotions could be all over the place inside, but you look real stable on the outside. That matters too. That's what I think is very, very interesting about it. But if you sit down and you're giving the look of listening, but you like in your head like, man, she talking crazy. I just want to sit down just so she could shut up. Like, you're not processing what's going on.
Yeah.
So like there is a place of you not being stable there.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. It's interesting. I think
Yeah.
it all matters.
Look, before we get out of here, please go ahead, subscribe to our channel, right? Hit that like button.
That part.
Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode. What was your favorite part? Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, all streaming platforms. We got some merch up, right? So head to NICEANDNEATTHEPODCAST.com to grab some merch, right? We got hats, we got shorts, we got t-shirts. So please go grab that. What else, fellas? What else?
I want to send a special shout out to Shannon Elstrin. He created a children's coloring book for mental health, and he sent it to us to Nice and Neat the podcast. And I just think it's dope, and I want to share that with our viewers and our listeners. So you can follow this dude on Instagram at inclusive_vision.42. That's inclusive_vision.42. And I'm sure you can pick up his coloring book there for mental health and your kids.
So just coloring book. All right, so look, if you got kids, please go check them out. Mental health, we all about that. So definitely check them out. But like I was saying, follow me on Instagram at Duke, follow Omar at Omar.Bowden, and Jalon at just.Jalon. Follow us at Nice and Neat the podcast. Much love, much gratitude. I'm Duke.
I'm Omar.
I'm Jalon, and this is another episode of Nice and Neat, and that's that on that.
I'll be
Peace.
the one to take the risk to go and get them bands. I'll be the one to never sit and go and make a plan. Knowing my mother getting older now, got no time. Gotta keep a couple for the road, the rest get left behind. Yeah. To the hundreds, pledge allegiance, I stand.